Hey guys, in this video I'm going to be sharing a little bit about growing spiritually and some of the pains of that growing, some of the suffering and the strangeness of spiritual growth as opposed to what we would notice around us, physical and growth in nature. So let's get into it. The growth that I see in myself and in others around me, spiritually in particular, not necessarily but nearly always seems to stem out of this kind of like a suffering or a stretching process. So at the moment particularly, I've been in a kind of pretty low depression sort of state. I've got chronic fatigue and it just kind of comes up every now and then and like really flares up. My whole body goes under inflammation, and that in turn inflames the brain and does a lot of stuff in the gut, which leads to quite a bad depression. Now, the process of that, whilst it is rather painful, is a big part of how I've grown over the years, is that I've gone into these sort of states, but I'm become more reflective. I sort of think a lot deeper about things. I'm quite somber in mood. I don't move a lot, so I have more time to think. I watch things, I read. But at the time, and now this has happened to me over the last 35 years, but at the time, each time I've been in this space, and I've visited it too many times to count, unfortunately, I've been growing, but I haven't felt like it. Quite the contrary. In fact, when you're in a state like this, you feel like you're not growing, you're not changing, you feel like you're kind of in this dormancy of death, in a sense. There's a real death to it. There's just no life, there's no vibrancy, no energy. You're just kind of like flat as, right? It's just like this kind of death of self going on. And so on a deeper level, something's dying in you which seems to enable you to grow, strangely enough. So it's sort of like this paradox of life and death, this growth and dormancy that is going on, but you don't see until later what's going on. You can't see it at the time. In fact, you seem to be like blinded to it. It's like you're totally blind at the time. You see very little of what's really going on, and it feels contrary to growth. It feels like you're going backwards. It feels like some of the ugliness comes up in you too, like some of those moods, or there can be anger there, frustration, a number of different emotions that arise. Like, for example, the other day, I'm a really easygoing guy, like I honestly am. And I was in Woolworths the other day, the shopping centre, and a lady who was working there, I went to one of the self-checkout things, and I went to the wrong one. My particular one was a card only, and I only had cash. I'd forgotten about it. My head was in a total daze. I was just zoned out, depression. And anyway, so I go to this thing, and she comes over, and I sort of wave the money. I go, "Oh, sorry." She gets all grumpy at me, and I go, "Lady, don't get grumpy with me today." And I was really assertive and really just said, I put my hand up to her, and I said, "Hey, don't give me any crap today. I don't want any of this, And that's not me at all. I'd never do that. And I was aware that I was just in such a low state that anything was enough to trigger me. So, contrary to feeling like I was growing spiritually, I felt like I was, acting like a little child in a way. So maybe you've experienced some of that stuff yourself. Maybe you have some things going on in your life that are maybe making you feel like you're reverting back in some ways, but the suffering itself, the drama, the stress, the problem, the flatness, the fatigue, the anxiety, or whatever it is, something's going on underneath it all that somehow enables spiritual growth. So I think it's cutting off some of our external senses, our external connections, some of the things that we might grasp hold of that often give us our false comforts, if you like. And we're driven deeper into ourselves, into a place where kind of nothing works, right? There's not things that we usually use for life to keep us going. They just don't work. They don't get us going. They don't thrill us. There's no joy there. And so we're driven deeper into ourselves to find the source. We go deeper to find the source of life, of love and hope. the hope that we need to get up another day, basically. And so that's what spiritual growth is. Spiritual growth is going deeper, isn't it? It's digging in, it's asking questions about some of the surface things that we might grab hold of that may seem satisfactory at times, but aren't really that deep, or don't give us that much foundation. And so the stripping back that happens during suffering, the stripping back of the old and the false comforts, the false self, is a very painful process. There's a death that's going on in us fairly constantly through these things. And it's only in hindsight, I think, that we really see the growth that happens in those times. We don't notice it because, again, it feels contrary, it feels bad, to be honest. It feels terrible, let me tell you. If you haven't had it, good luck to you. But most people, very few of us get through without suffering on one level or another. Grief, loss, pain, sickness, you name it. Frustration, inability, weakness, the list goes on and on. There's so many forms of suffering that are there. You can't escape it in the world. There's pain and there's trouble. So, not to be depressing about it, but to, again, recognise that there's something deeper going on in you as there is in me right now that is taking you into places that you wouldn't necessarily go to if you were just invited. For example, if I was to say to you, come with me on this spiritual journey and let's go in and let's cut off some of these things that hinder us and stop us growing into God and the depths of spirit, into the creative order of things. Come on in. And you might go, yeah, I love that. And then very soon you'd be distracted and, the things of this world, the stuff that's around us, the froth and bubble and the shiny stuff that so often entices us will draw you away, as it does me. And so very few delve deep without some level of suffering. Most spiritual teachers in every practice will tell you that suffering is a way of the spiritual journey. It's part of the spiritual pathway. It's part of the depth of experience. To get into God, to get into the depths of Christ or into the depths of spirit, you must suffer on some level. And as you do, you can choose to go in and to reflect and to come out of that better. In other words, to utilize the time of suffering to take you somewhere. That it's not wasted, that it's actually a part of the journey, that it won't last forever, mostly. Not for some, it does seem to keep lasting on and on and on. And I've been sick for 35 years and I haven't been sick every day. I've been able to do stuff. I can still relate to people. I can, do things and be productive in life. But a lot of my life has been the suffering. But there's been so much growth through that time. People come to me and they just say, man, can't believe where you get this wisdom and this insights into stuff. And I'm like, me either. But something is happening in this suffering that's drawn me to go deeper to look for the source. And when I find that and I grab hold of life, the divine energy source, which is Christ, in a deeper level, who is in all things and everywhere, I notice hope. I get grace to get me up and to start again in another day. And I find that there's enough peace somehow to get me through these troughs of deep, dark depression that are just like horrendous, mate, So I know for you that there's something like that there as well. I understand that, and I feel for your suffering because I understand how painful it is to you and how isolating it is. But I know there's something going on at a deeper level that if we can grab hold of that, it will hold us in those times of despair and doubt, frustration, and that it will get us through. So that is my hope for you today, and I'll leave that with you. Keep watching these videos. Please subscribe to them. Please like them. Share them if they help you in any way, because there's plenty of us out there, and I know this for an absolute certainty, that are struggling to, face the day sometimes due to these things that we are going through. And a bit of hope is an amazing thing. A bit of hope is an incredible thing. So please, feel free to share and to like, subscribe, and come with me on this journey so that together we can find some hope and some peace through our suffering and actually grow to greater places, so that when our life is good, it's good. We're helping others, we're serving the world and changing the world in ways that we wouldn't have been possible without some of the struggles that we face. So thanks for listening. Have a great day.